And here we are for another United Kingdom talk. A warm welcome along to you. And I'm back at home in the garden today. Quite frankly, I'm happy to be at home recording this programme because those of you that... Are we crooked today? Am I looking a bit... Am I sitting crooked? I've got a feeling I'm sitting crooked. I'm not quite sure. Never mind. We'll put up with it today. Quite frankly, I'm glad to be in my own garden after trying to do a show from my sister's garden, only to be constantly interrupted by my dear relatives, including my sister and her husbands, who appear to be the ringleaders in this. I think it was her husband, Martin. He was the ringleader in the interruptions to our trans-global, intergalactic television radio broadcast of the world. Did you know? Did you hear it or see it the last show? What a cheek, dear. There I was, quietly trying to have a little bit of a chat to you, reading out a few emails, and the worst offence, dear, was when I was trying to read part 8 of Robert Louis Pell's story, The Elves of Iceland. The constant interruption, dogs coming and attacking from all sorts of the place, even a dog fight on the last show. Oh, my sister thought it was hilarious. She said, oh, that's got to be the funniest show you had. No, it wasn't. It was damn well annoying. That's what it was, dear. Interrupting me like this. How would you like it if I interrupted you, dear sister, when your dynasty was on? Oh, I might have been sitting there smiling and looking happy, but I wasn't. God's sake. How, I mean, this is a, what's the word? It ruined my artisticness. It really, oh, here comes the cat. She knows I'm a bit unhappy. Come on, darling. Up you come. Oh, there she is. Aren't they? See, they know animals. They know when you're unhappy. Katie's come to see if I'm all right because of that incident last week. Yes, and while I was reading, at one point, my sister was throwing things. Well, you didn't see this, those of you that watched the show on YouTube. My sister was throwing things so that the dogs would chase after them in full view of you. I mean, it's not on, is it? Not only that, while I was trying to read The Elves of Iceland, they were, could you hear them chattering away in the background? No respect whatsoever. I mean, does that happen when you go to a Shirley Bassey concert? Do people stand staring at the side of the stage, chatting away all the time? I don't think they do, lovey. Well, they did on my show, especially while I was reading The Elves of Iceland. There were 5 of them standing there. OK, what you saw was a picture of me sitting just in front of her little pond with all the fish. What you didn't see was the house, which was kind of behind the camera, and she's got one of those big French doors. And there were 5 of them standing there, making silly little noises and pulling faces. There was my sister, her husband, there was my niece, there was her boyfriend, Ben. Ooh, there was another one, wasn't there? Oh, I don't know who the other one was now. I can't remember who the other one was. Was it Jimmy? Was it my little nephew Jimmy? Well, of course, Jimmy, you know, we can let him off because he's young and he does no wrong whatsoever. But there were 5 of them and I was standing there at the door pulling faces and trying to make me laugh. I mean, it's not on, is it really? You know? Well, I didn't think it was funny, did you? I suppose you were sitting there laughing your head off while you were watching that, were you? Oh, dear me. Anyway, so quite frankly, I'm glad to be home here in my own garden with my own little cat who's no problem. She's no problem at all, is it? Eh? Little Katie? She's no problem at all. She sits there quietly accepting everything I do. Even, do you know what I think? I think Katie would want to help me. I do. I do believe my little cat would want to help me do this show. If she could, I mean, if she could operate sound equipment, or a camera, or even just simply to sweep up afterwards. Or mind you, I think she does. Because just before I came out into the garden today, I think she was watching me get my equipment ready in the kitchen and coming out here. And then she started patrolling the garden, looking for things that might get in the way, such as stupid mice or stupid birds that might have the audacity to land in my garden while I'm doing this programme. So she does. You do help, don't you, Katie? Oh, she's purring away on my lap. There we are. Now, we're going to have a bit of an email catch-up programme today, because, of course, we have been away for a week, and emails have come in. I have so much to tell you, really, but I better do the emails. And, of course, today we have the last part of our story by Robert Louis Pell's The Elves of Iceland. Iceland? Iceland. It's Iceland, dear, not Ireland. Iceland. Although, does Ireland have elves? No, they don't. They have, what are those little things? Leprechauns, don't they? There's a question for anyone that might know. Are elves and leprechauns related? A question there for you. A question there for you. Now, I'm a little bit concerned that I haven't done something. Just a minute. Can you jump off a minute, Katie? You know I love you lots. You can come back in a minute. Can you jump off a minute, darling? Off you go, baby. Oh, she don't want to get off. What? Go over there. Let me just get up. I think I've forgotten to do something. I bet I haven't. I always think I've forgotten to do something and I haven't. No, haven't forgotten to do something. Thought I forgot to turn something on. Do you want to come back on my lap now, Katie? Or are you going to give me attitude? Kate? Katie, come on. Up you come again, darling. There we are. Come and be comfortable on Christopher's lap. Yeah, up we get. Should probably get too hot because it's actually a beautiful sunny day here, out here in Bracknell, Royal Berkshire. Right then, email time. Trouble with the Germans, boys and girls. We have. I think this is basically hate mail from one of our German listeners and viewers, Yannick. I think he's sending me hate mail now. It says, "Hi mate, mates." You know, see, he uses the term "mate" there, lulling me into a false sense of security. I think, and you see the bit, "Hi mate," and you think to yourself, "Oh, this is going to be nice and pleasant," didn't you? I was just watching your show when you had James Dean staying round. You know, James Dean, who hosts matineeshow.co.uk, all right, matineeshow.co.uk. Very hard to find on iTunes, dear. He still hasn't sorted that out. I don't know. He says, and I've got to say, his face looks fat. Well, I think I agree with you. You see, he's trying there, what Yannick's doing in this email, is trying to get on my right side before he comes up with the next line. However, you look a lot chubbier. What a cheek. Yannick, how can you say I look chubby? Chubby? Actually, I have to say, always when I got my sisters, I come back and I put on weight. Because she's not a fan of fruit and veg. Okay? I mean, her idea of vegetables, you know, if she does, if you say, can we have some vegetables? She might put a carrot in the shepherd's pie, which serves 6. And the rest of it is all mincemeat. I'm not a great meat eater. She does her best, my sister, but there's no fruit and veg anywhere. They're really one carrot, you know, and she thinks that's the veg for the day. You're supposed to have 5 a day, dear. God, Sharon, dear. You must eat more fruit and veg. It's very important so that everything passes straight through. So look at that. However, you look a lot chubbier. Well, thank you very much for the Germans. Yannick, I consider you represent your entire country, and that, therefore, all Germans must now think I look fat. Thank you very much. I did weigh myself before I come on the show, and it now says 13 stone 6. 2 weeks ago, it was 13 stone. So actually, Yannick, I must be even fatter now than you saw me on that show. What can one do, eh? I think I know what it is. I keep buying sandwiches and crisps on the way home. Plus, while I was at my sister's, there were a few chocolate biscuits going down my throat, let me tell you that now. Terrible, isn't it? He says, you haven't put weight on, have you? Yes, just a bit. But why do you have to point it out, dear? If people carry on writing me these emails, I shall become anorexic and I shall have to eat and throw everything up. I will. What's that called? That's not anorexic, is it? That's, oh, what's that called? When you eat something and throw it all up again. Can you remember that, Katie? No, we can't remember. We don't know. He says, and then he tries to lighten it up, and he says, it'll take you a while, though, to get anywhere near Ross Patzelt's weight. Well, I think I'm inclined to agree with you there, Yannick. Ross Patzelt is another podcaster. Colourful your language and discretion used on listening to that programme. rosspatzel.co.uk, all right? rosspatzel.co.uk. And Ross is a little bit more, what was the term? Chubbier. chubbier than me. Thank you, Yannick. You're so kind to me. Oh, the cat, look. Oh, put your claws in. Why do cats hang on with their claws? Oh. Cat. She loves a bit of rough stroking on the head, this cat. I don't know why. Right. Can I read these emails, please, darling? And then he says, by the way, watching you on YouTube, the picture quality is fantastic. And that's from Yannick. Thank you, Yannick. Very kind of you to say so. Incidentally, Joe from another podcaster, we're all a bit of a network here, Joe from AmericanTalkUSA.com. I think, I have a feeling he's about to go out and buy a video camera because he has been he's been asking questions about the camera that I use to film this show. Because, as you know, if you're listening, as well as being a radio show, we video the show as well. And Joe was inquiring. And anyone else that might want to know, it is a Canon Legria, Legria. Oh my God, I can't remember the model number now. I'll have to have a look. Oh, I'm sorry, Kat, I'm going to have to move you again, darling. I'm sorry, Katie, I do love you, darling. And she is getting rather hot there as well. Oh, hang on. Let me tell you what it is, because anyone else who might be interested in one of these. Where is it now? I've got the number. Oh, there it is. No, it's not. There it is. A Canon Legria, Legria, F for father, S for sugar, 200. Okay? A Canon Legria, F for father, S for sugar, 200. That's a model of the camera that I use to do the show, and I've been very, very happy with the quality of it. Actually, there's no moving parts, I don't think. It records everything onto one of those... Do you want to come back on my lap, darling? Come on. She'll get fed up doing this in a minute. Come on, up you come then, darling. Come on, darling, up. Jump up, there we are. Yes, it records the whole show on one of those little cards that you put in normal digital cameras. I think is it an SD card? I think it is. It records everything onto that. No new moving parts, no hard drive, anything like that. So actually, apart from the zoom-in lens, which I very, very rarely use, there's not an awful lot to go wrong with it, is there really? I mean, he says that touching wood. You say something like that and everything suddenly comes crashing down around you, doesn't it? So thanks for that, Yannick. Interesting email there. Parts of it praising me for my picture quality and parts of it saying I'm now fat. You want to be careful writing things like that, Yannick, because what usually happens now that people have heard that on the radio, people start writing in defence of my fatness. Okay? You may... I would start looking over your shoulder, actually, as you're walking along now, Yannick, wherever you live. People will search you out. I know what will happen. What will happen? You'll be searched out by a few of my listeners. And then when they find you, they'll wait until you're down a dark alley or in a forest somewhere, and you'll be jumped, held down and force-fed cakes and crisps and white bread until you start getting fat as well. Oh yes, it's very, very unwise to mention my weight on this programme. It really is, unless it's me mentioning it. Isn't it, Katie? Katie's not bothered to how fat I am. Katie doesn't care. Katie doesn't care if I'm my little cat Katie. She doesn't care if I'm sitting there getting fatter and fatter. She still loves me. Don't you, darling? Onward. Now, we started off on the last show with an email from Nathan, who was talking about the NHS. We only got half the way through it. I'm going to read the bit I've already read out and then carry on with the email. Nathan was saying, I think the NHS, we were talking about the NHS recently, I think it's a marvellous organisation. I really do. Yannick doesn't think so. I think the NHS is terrible. Very poorly run and organised. But we can't complain because it's free. How many countries can you get instant and free treatment for accidents and ailments? But it is terribly run. I was in the hospital with my friend today who, after his checkup, had to make a follow-up appointment in 6 months' time. He went to the receptionist to make the appointment, and she told him he had to ring up the next year as they don't yet have a diary for 2010. He says, "What? I have my diary for 2010 and I'm not even a health worker." But as I say, you get it for free, so how can anyone complain? I have to say I don't have a diary for 2010 yet. Actually, I don't have diaries. I have like a calendar thing hanging on the wall, and you can. It's not very big. It's only about it's about a foot long and I don't know 4 or 5 inches wide, and you just write down things that you might be doing, such as I don't know, dentist or so. Do you know? I still haven't rung up about that dentist appointment. I must do that. It's time for checkup. Time for checkup. He says also, years ago in 2002, I worked in a hospital. Not as medical staff, though. I remember walking near a certain bed, and an elderly lady was crying for the nurse and stopped me as I went past, assuming I was hospital staff. She was very distraught. I couldn't help her because I'm only maintenance. So I went to tell the nurses as they were all chatting with tea and acted like I was being a real pest in telling them that a patient needed them. One nurse told me to ignore the old woman and that she was always shouting for attention. On my way back through that ward 20 or 30 minutes later, I saw 2 nurses helping the woman out of her bed to take off her bed sheets, and she was sobbing. She'd had an accident on the bed sheets. It was horrid. Even more so because I tried to tell the nurses that she wanted them and they weren't even bothered. Now, this was a few years ago now. He says, I'm sure healthcare has improved slightly since then, and it's like any job. You get some workers who want to do the job and some who are there just for the money. So thanks for that, Nathan. I've always thought that a job like nursing shouldn't be just about the money. It's more of a... Oh, I can't think of the word now. It's more of a devotion, isn't it? To want to look after sick people. I have to say, it's one of the jobs that I think I'd be quite good at that. You know, helping people and what have you. I mean, clearly, it looks here that the lady was crying out because she wanted to use the toilet. Had the nurses have gone and sorted her out, then she wouldn't have had an accident in the sheets, would she? So that's awful, that is. And that's not the first time I've heard stories like that. It really isn't. Indeed, in the year 2000, I think it was 2000, when I had my burst appendix. Was it 2000? It was the same year Princess Diana died. And straight after the operation, after the appendix thing, I wanted to go to the toilet in the bed and I couldn't move. I just couldn't move. It was so painful. And my friend was there, Ronnie. And I asked for a bottle. And she said, no, you're not having a bottle. Get out of the bed and walk to the toilet. And look, I mean, it was painful. It wasn't just a mild, but it was really painful. And Ron said, well, he needs a bottle. He can't move at the moment. No, he's not having a bottle. Get him out of bed to do it. And sort of, this went on for a bit. And he said, look, this is my friend. He's in a great deal of pain. She did no more and called the security. This awful nurse, and I'll tell you where it was as well, Wexham Park Hospital in Slough. She was awful, this nurse. Really horrible. That's not the only thing I had with her. There was another incident where, yes, I'd got to the toilet and I was in a lot of pain. And as I got to the toilet, pain was so bad I collapsed on the floor just outside the toilet. She come along, what's happened here? I said, oh, can you help me up? I've collapsed. And I went to reach out for her. Oh, no, don't touch me. I'm not allowed to lift you. Awful, awful woman. I kind of hope that, you know, she did a few other things like that and got sacked for the job. She was horrible. Horrible woman. And it just amazes me how these people get to do jobs like that. There are plenty of nurses out there who are lovely and caring and do work very hard. Let's be honest. Oh, off goes the cat. Let's be honest. Nurses work very, very hard for not much money. However, it shouldn't be just a job. You've got to be able to care for people if you want to do that sort of job. It shouldn't be about, oh, I'll get my money at the end of the week, whatever I do. It shouldn't be like that at all. Personally, that's the only incident I've had of knowing myself of having a bad nurse. And she was horrible. I mean, she was really horrible. My friend Gwen, she works in the medical world. She's not too well at the moment herself. She works in a doctor's surgery, doing the papers and that sort of thing. She's also worked in hospitals. And, of course, at her advanced years, she's 72, she goes and visits people in the hospital, you know, her friends or whatever. And she's got a load of stories to tell you about bad care from nurses. But I do stress, you know, this is not all nurses. Most of them are very caring, professional people. You've got to be perhaps someone a little bit special who can, I don't know, stand there or sit by a bed and hold someone's hand, perhaps knowing that in a few years' time, a few hours' time, they're not going to be there, if you see what I mean. So, there's some nurse stories there for you. Have you got any nurse stories at all? Good or bad? We'd like some good ones as well. I'm sure there's been plenty of you there who've been in hospital and had the most marvellous treatment. And maybe one or two who haven't really had marvellous treatment. Do let us know. The email address of the show is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now, when we're up in the studio, of course I'm out in the garden today, as it's a beautiful day. When we're in the studio, we now have a big TV screen behind me on the wall there, and I like to show pictures and little films of things, whatever actually, whether it might be a picture of you, or perhaps your family, or your mum, or your children, anything like that. If you'd like to send it in, and it can be featured in the little film that I have going around behind me on the wall, not out here in the garden, but when I'm in the studio, then it would be lovely to have that. Or maybe a short film, okay? You know, about a minute and a half long, anything like that, whether you're, I don't know, out somewhere or visiting, you can send that through as well. And it'd be quite nice to put all those together and put them on the big screen behind me. We've already had a couple of pictures sent in, one by Niall in Switzerland, and another one, oh, I can't remember, let me see if the other one's, I've got the email here from a nice chap, I think it's and his wife or girlfriend. I might not have the email here actually. Have a quick look. Was it David? Oh dear, dear, dear me. No, I might not have that one here. No, I haven't. But nevertheless, I did get your picture, and you'll see that featured behind me, probably on the next show if we're back in the studio again. But if you've got any pictures to send me in, or any... someone dropped something then, did you hear that? Any pictures to send in, or any sort of mini films that I could include on my background video, then please send them to the usual email address, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right? Hello today to Susan, our cat lover. Hello, Susan. We were talking about being a telephone engineer. Years ago, that was a job that I did and enjoyed immensely. I was a telephone engineer for British Telecom. And Susan writes, "Hi, Chris. I don't think you'd like to be a phone engineer over here in Texas, California." Or is it Texas? No, it's not, is it? Sorry. Texas. I'm not very good with geography. I got unclassified for that at school. Yes, really was that bad, I'm afraid. She says, "The law over here is that if anyone steps foot on your property and attempts to break in, you are allowed to shoot to kill." It's actually a law, Susan, that I agree with. I really do. I don't see why people can't protect their house and their property within the house by any means they can. over here in the UK, we've had stories over the years of, for example, people breaking into someone's garden, stepping on something that had been left in the garden, perhaps a fork or a shovel, and then knocking themselves out and then claiming from the homeowner and winning. And that, to me, we brought this subject up about a year or so ago. That, to me, is wrong. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. If someone breaks into your house and dies because of something that you've left around, so be it. I'm sorry, I've got no sympathy with people that hurt themselves after they've broken into someone's house. No sympathy whatsoever. So, you saying that, you know, people can, if someone sets foot in your property, you can shoot them, yeah, good. I hope that doesn't sound a bit hard. Anyway, her point is, almost everyone over here has a gun. You can get a license to carry, which means that you are allowed to carry your gun with you everywhere you go. Now, I'm not so sure about that one. Don't think I'd like that. I have even seen a man in the local grocery store with a gun and holster, just like on the old-time Western shows. What, like the Virginian? Do you remember that? She says, though most people keep them hidden in a purse or shoulder holster. Here is an article from the Daily Paper. I call it the perils of being a meter reader. Now, this is from Dallas. Police say that an elderly Dallas homeowner opened fire on an electric utility employee replacing meters after suspecting the worker was trying to break into his home. According to Dallas Police Department statement, the on-call utility worker was hit by flying splinters Tuesday morning when one of the shotgun rounds hit a wooden post. Paramedics examined the worker, but he wasn't taken to hospital. Police say the worker knocked on the 79-year-old man's door, but got no answer. He went to the rear of the house and used a ladder to climb a fence to get access to the meter. Police say that the homeowner, thinking the worker was breaking in, fired several shotgun blasts through the back door. End of article. So, I mean, well, I don't know what to say, really. I mean, that's, to me, the electricity man should have tried to contact, apart from knocking on the door, if there's no one in, then I don't like the idea of someone coming into my property. I had this problem with a window cleaner years ago. I told him specifically, if I'm not to come round, I told him, I said 11 o'clock. And one day he came round at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't hear the door go. The next thing I know, I was woken up by a noise at the window. And he'd come over the back garden wall, or fence, something he couldn't do now because it's got all these spiky bushes planted around the fence now and they've grown quite high. I mean, I'm going back here about 12 years, but he climbed over the fence and carried on doing the job. Well, I don't want anyone in my house when I'm not here, thank you very much. What a cheek, dear. I mean, I could have been laying there on the bed doing anything, couldn't I? It's a liberty, that's what it is. Now, the sun, unfortunately, has moved round. I'm going to have to move, aren't I? Because I've gone into the sun now. And it's very, very hot out here today. Just a minute. Can I move? Oh, let me finish this. Let me finish this little article there, because I've got something else to show you as well. Right. She says, as for one of your friends being mugged and being asked, what have you got for me? Yeah, someone was jumped and these kids said, what have you got for me? Over here in Texas, they might get a bullet in the belly. But to be totally honest, I think England has the right idea. We need gun control laws desperately. In Dallas alone, over the course of the weekend, there usually will be several gun killings. We even have a lot of people getting shot in road rage incidents. Someone gets mad about a driver cutting him off, so he pulls out a gun and opens fire. You have to think twice before you honk at someone. Is it worth risking your life? Yes, I see exactly what you're saying there, Susan. I don't think it's a good idea for people to actually carry guns around. I think that's a very bad idea, because then you can use it, you know, all sorts of things. But actually protecting your house, I think it is kind of fair game, you know. Actually protecting your house is probably fair game. Now, oh dear, this is not happening today at all. I'm sorry, I'm getting all confused here. We've got to move around a bit, because that sun's right in my eyes in the garden. Excuse me. Yeah, you all right? Well, you don't mind while I just do this, do you? Sun moves around, so does you think the sun moves around more quickly and just as we're coming out of summer? I don't know. Can't believe the summer's almost over now. Well, one other thing that summer has brought to me this year is some massive sunflowers. Now, you may know, or you may remember, that I had very, very tall sunflowers with big heads on the top. But one thing that appears to have happened is that after cutting off the dead head at the top, little sunflowers have now grown around. And on each, certainly on the two, it's only happened on one side of the garden, interestingly enough. The two sunflowers where I've cut the big head off, now both have one has 4 smaller heads on it, and the other one has 2 smaller heads on it. Isn't that weird? And I've never ever seen sunflowers kind of with multiple heads, which is a very interesting phenomenon. Does anyone know? I didn't even know sunflowers had multiple heads. And the other ones on the other side of the garden, well, I mean, they're so tall. They really are. Ever so tall. I could actually reach out of my bedroom window now and touch them. Touch me. What's that song by Diana Ross? Touch Me All Night Long or something like that, is it? Oh, I can't remember, dear. Right, let me sit back down in my seat. Oops. I'm pulling bits and pieces out here. Oh yeah, that's better. Should be out of the sunshine now. Oh God. Oh, it's all bits and pieces. You see, this is the advantage of sitting in the studio sometimes, because you kind of know where everything is, you know. Once you're outside, you start mucking around and the sun moves around, and it's most inconvenient. Oh dear, and now my chair's collapsed as well. The sun moves around. Oh, right, there we are. That's better. Oh, can you hear that? That's the chair collapsing. Nothing works here, does it? You right, Katie? Oh, why won't the chair stay up? Oh, I don't know what's happened to this chair. Just a minute. Keeps falling down. Is that it? I want to sit up. I'm too far back here. I don't know why the chair won't stay done up. Is there a loose wire or something? I think I've got loose screws. There's a loose screw in my head. I know about that one. Email address of the show once again, Chris. I'm going to have to sit back a bit and be done with it. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right. Now, oh, God's sake, what's happened to this chair now? 1 minute. Oh. If I'm going to lay down, I'll have to move that there. Oh God. Right, that's just about right. I'm kind of leaning back a bit now. Nothing I can do. The chair's broken. It's all falling apart here. Oh, Susan also goes on to say, I love the new sofa in your studio. I love the colour of it. Yes, beige it is. Beige. You'll probably see that on the next show. I don't think we're going to have any more really sunny, warm days like this, but we'll see. It looks very smart against your black backdrop. I bet Katie is going to love it too. Oh, no, she's not allowed upstairs, dear. She can't come in the house because of the asthma, Susan. You know that. And no, I'm not going to have the injections. I'm sorry, I'm not going to have the anti-whatever they are injections. Right, more emails to come then, boys and girls. But right now, we're going to have the final part of our story by Robert Louis Peels, The Elves of Iceland. Now, this is the longest part to the story, okay? So it's quite long, this. I think we're going to go on this in about 10 minutes. This will go on for about 10 minutes, all right? So here we are, the final part of our story, The Elves of Iceland. The affiliation of the bracelet gathered on Skye longboat as the crew made ready for their passage south to the land of Bretland. It was a while they rested during the night that a group of mountain elves avenged their fallen brothers and sisters. A long overdue plan was carried out. The rivers ran red with the blood and guts of the butchered Crumai and Herberts that dwelt upon the Isles of Faroe. With the rising of the sun, the elves cast out upon the waters of the sea their fallen safe in the knowledge that the islands had been cleansed. And so it was that the Skye longboat left the harbour under safe skies and made passage. The route planned would take them down the eastern side of Bretland, with the first port of call being the town of Grimsby, chosen for its large elf community and fondness for the dance of the elves. Thereafter, they would head down the coast until they entered the mouth of the magical Thames. It is at this point, dear listeners to this tale, that I need to relate some information about this river. You know, it is magical, for I have said so. However, its magic is confined to turning elves, trolls, Herberts, and indeed just about every other folklore creature into taking human form. And should you doubt this, then next time you visit London, then take a look, dear friends, and wonder if not your neighbour be not of the fairy folk. That night also, Brownie and Gorgeous crept into the garden with the shed. Brownie says, "Does not this human ever sleep? It is now the wee hours, and he is up there talking to himself. Take a look, Gorgeous." Gorgeous said, "I can't see, Northern, I can't see nothing. 'Tis that blasted bull with the mirrors that have blinded me. But then I be fearing something fierce, that he will be starting that singing again. Oh, me poor old ears will never be the same again." Brownie said, "Shut the trap, we use, and keep an eye open for that cat of his." They say that fortune favours the brave, and so it was that upon that night the gold was taken, and after having been placed in the bag. Soon it was that they had completed their task and headed away from the house with the shed. Captain Spoy guided the Skye longboat down towards safe landing that morning upon the waters of the Thames and made ready to dock the boat to the elf dock at Canary Wharf. The morning reflected the onset of winter, and so with it, its mood. This would be a parting for the group, with Captain Spoy and his crew departing to the Emerald Isles and to further adventures among the Western Isles. They had promised to get them to Faroe, and yet the pirates had done more, so much more. They had taken them unto the Thames itself. Leo the Wise felt too strong to pull of his Norwegian lands, for it is hard of this Nordic heart to leave the mountains. He passed on the golden staff to Pinglydale, and with red eyes left the lands to the east and bade passage upon the back of a dragon which waited for him at the town of Cinderstone, a town known to dragons for producing the firestone from which a dragon doth get its flame. The silly humans make a spice called mustard from this plant. Oh, if only they knew. The gathering, now reduced in numbers, left the dock and after having drunk of the Thames, headed towards the town known as Bracknell, dressed to look like a ground of city types. Still, it took some time to explain to Pinklydale the use of a device known as the brolly. Binglepuss had been busy keeping an eye upon things, and it was with much surprise to one and all when a device called a taxi did stop and bid them to enter. The taxi sped away with Swinky, Pinklydale and the 4 remaining dark elves. Swinky said, "Bingle, is that really you?" Bingle said, "Of course it's me, you twassock. My section chief in New York sent me here. I was having a ball there, parties every night and what. Next thing I know, I'm on the back of a dragon making haste here to rescue your hides." Swinky was not sure about this welcome, and he spent some time thinking of this party that she had talk about. He had heard, of course, of Suko, for she is held in high esteem among the elves, but the air was somewhat frosty upon that day. Swinky said, "I love you, and yet do not seem too pleased to see me, are you?" Bingle said, "I know, but we must wait, for we have a chance to recover the gold. We know that this is on the move, and for the first time we have a means of carrying it all back home to the ice cave in Iceland." Swinky said, "We do, my love." "Oh, that doth gladden my heart." Bingle said, "Will you shut your trap? Have you been reading Jane Austen again? Did not your mama tell you that in so doing you would turn blind? Now listen, that loathsome Brownie and Gorgeous have a magical bag that was stolen many years ago from a money pit called the Wall Street. Oh, it is such a dark place. I have seen it. It is guarded day and night by the bankers. My chief said that it was a market of bears and bulls, and that they did lose their gold to the dark dragon called Subprime. And that, my love, is why I have been working there with my section chief to slay that dragon using the magic drawn from the well called the Federal Reserve." Swinky said, "It sounds dangerous, my love, and now you come to us in our hour of need." Bingle said, "My work is all out there but done there. And yes, now I return to my people. The problem, sweetheart, is that we did not have a means of carrying all that gold. It was Suko who told of the magical bags. The one in Bretland called the National Debt, and the one in America called the Money Pit." Swinky said, "I don't understand. Are you saying that they have a magical bag called a money pit?" Bingle said, "They have 2 bags, the money pit and the national debt, and together they are greater than the sum of one. And now we know where one of the bags is, and I'm sure the other bag is not far from its brother." And so it was that they talked long into the night and shared the odd kiss or two. Gorgeous and Brownie were seated in first class on a plane departing for New York. The plane climbed up through rain-leaden clouds and soon emerged to clouds that stretched from horizon to horizon. For the first time in an age, Brownie could relax. The magical bag rested between the two of them as they sped across the Atlantic, soon to retrieve the other magical bag. Soon Brownie and Gorgeous were snoring away and did not notice the night catch up and embrace their flight. Nor did they notice the rising moon, and with it a flotilla of sky longboats. Their flight would take them towards the airspace of Iceland and its controllers as they watched the plane move ever towards them. As they watched, if they had been attentive, then they might have noticed for brief seconds additional blips upon their green screens, the reflection of sky longboats before they engaged their magical cloaks. Each boat carried a team of gremlins. It was their task to weave spells that would cause the plane to divert to its alternative airport should the need arise. They, of course, had no wish to worry the humans on board, and thus weaved a spell that would cause the crew to head towards a landing at the Icelandic airport of Keflavik, just to be on the safe side. Brownie and Gorgeous slept their deep sleep through announcements after announcements from the flight deck. The sky longboats descend towards the sea once more, after having passed on the message to the elves in Keflavik to make ready to get the gold back. We now return to the affiliation of the bracelet. They had set out to recover the gold from Bretland, and yet fate had taken a hand. History will remember that they had indeed been the ones that had provided vital information. As for Swinky and Bingle, well, they left for New York to find the other bag and to raise little elves of their own. Pinglydell intended to return home to Iceland. However, he thought he might stay a while, and so, taking the human form, he became the Lord Mayor of London. The Dark Elves returned home, as with the magical items, to their cave deep in the mines of Aspergrigi. And here ends the tale of the Elves of Iceland. Alright, so there we are. That's the end of our little story, as written by Robert. Thank you very much, Robert. That's quite a nice little different thing to do there, wasn't it? What did you think of that? Did you enjoy that little story? Or did you think, oh, what's all this about? I'm not quite sure what you thought. You'll have to let me know on the email, okay? chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk is my email address, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now, the sun, unfortunately, has moved around once again. Oh, dear. I don't understand why I'm having so much trouble with the sunlight recently. I had this problem when I recorded a show over in the forest a little while ago. I'm sure I didn't used to have this problem with the sun. Keep moving round all the time. It's most inconvenient. Well, at least it's a bright sunny day and my solar panels are chucking out those watts of electricity, aren't they? Good. Oh, did I mention to you my friend Jason has gone in? We were talking about the NHS earlier. My friend Jason's in hospital at the moment in a hospital in Haywards Heath, which is quite near Brighton. And yesterday he had a replacement hip operation. Now, he's not old. He's early 30s, but I think he's got some inherent problem, and he's been in pain for years and years while performing perhaps normal tasks like you and I do, like climbing upstairs or things like that. He had his hip operation yesterday. The news I've got at the moment of that is he had to be at the hospital at 7:30 in the morning, and indeed he was. They actually did the operation at 10 o'clock, so there was no hanging about. And by 12 o'clock, he was back in his hospital bed, and he actually rang me from his hospital bed after this replacement hip operation. And I said, how is it? He said he's got tubes coming out all over the place at the moment, including down there. And he says he feels completely numb from the waist down. So hopefully I'll be able to get in contact with him today, and I'll keep you informed of how he's doing. But there we are, you know, another one of the marvels of the NHS, a hip operation that he hasn't had to pay for. I wonder, actually, whatever country you're in, if you, presumably you're covered with medical insurance for that sort of thing. But what sort of things are you not covered for on your medical insurance? Are there certain exclusions? Or is it like different levels of treatment? I don't know. You know, if you pay the top premium, say, if I don't know, I mean, do you know what I mean by different levels of treatment? Is there like a top level so that whatever happens to you, you are covered from it? And maybe then there's a bottom level that whatever happens to you will be covered except for I'd be very, very interested to know what sort of cover you have wherever you are in the world and the differences in cover. I mean, it must be awful. For example, if you was to get something like cancer and you was on the lowest level of cover, and would that cover your treatment? And if it doesn't, what on earth do you do then? Who looks after you? Or do you just die? I know it might sound a silly question, but here in the UK, I don't understand how that works. Because here, if you are ill, that's it. You go in and you get sorted. End of story, hopefully. right? In other countries, if you're not insured against certain things, are you just left to die? Do let us know, please, what country you're in and exactly how that works. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Oh, a couple of texts came in. You know, we've got a new text number, which foolishly I haven't brought out here with me. I could go indoors and get that. Oh, dear me. How stupid. I've given the text number out and I can't remember who's sent in a text now. Oh, hang on a minute. Let me go in the house, and because we must do that. If we've got a text number, we might as well use it, mightn't we? Oh, 1 minute. Oh, no, I've got... Oh, dear, I've got a bit of... I think they're bits of strawberries on my new slippers. I bought some new slippers while I was at my sister. Only £6 from Matalan. Right, hang on. Actually, I bought 2 pairs. Now, where's that phone? I've just come into the house and I'm looking for the text phone. I don't know where I've put it now. Oh, how stupid is that? Imagine getting a new piece of equipment and not being able to find where it is. Maybe it's dropped down the side of the chair. We go upstairs. I've got a shirt and jeans on today, and I've got to say, it's so warm out there. I can't wait to get out of these when I finish the show. Let's see if the phone's up here. 1 second. Oh my God, I can't. Oh, there it is. There it is. There's the phone. Oh, I dropped it. And we'll read out your text messages that have been... we've had a couple of text messages coming in, I'm glad to say. Ooh. Let's just turn the phone on. There we are. Do you like that noise? Da, 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 da. Is that the Nokia noise? I think it is, isn't it? Nokia. There we are. Text messages coming in there. 1 second, let me sit back down outside here. Oh, the chair. I thought the chair would collapse again then, but it didn't. Right, oh, it did. Why won't this chair stay up? There we are. Text message. Oh, lots of text messages. How exciting. Oh, you've been using this facility. I'm so pleased. Right, hang on a minute. You'd think I'd print these or write these down before I did them. But here we go. First of all, from Wayne in Reading, who writes, "Am I the first text to United Kingdom Talk? I hope so." Wayne in Reading. Yes, you are, Wayne. Well done, sir. If there was a prize, you would have won one, but there isn't. So that's it. No prize, I'm afraid, Wayne. Okay? And when he writes, "Chris, my friend, followed a coach with free Wi-Fi down the motorway just to download a few files. Yes, he was a passenger." Also, you don't get upgraded because you keep making funny, strange noises. Who is it? Wayne in Reading. What, you mean upgraded on planes? Oh, I know. I told you that, didn't I? My friend Ronnie, my best friend Ronnie, he got upgraded on his economy class plane to first class, which is outrageous. Hang on a minute, why hasn't the other phone come on? 1 second. Is it... Oh, there's lots of text messages. I didn't realise I didn't think you'd send so many. Hang on a minute. I can't get the other phone to go on. How strange is that? Oh, there it goes. 1 minute. I've got to put this one on, so because this is where the phone number is. Oh, I can't get it on there. Why isn't that coming on? The other phone's not switching on. Oh dear. Nothing works, does it? Oh, I've got a white screen now on the phone. Yes, Ronnie was made up to first class from economy. When I want to go on these things, I always have to pay the rate, you know, pay it and do it. And Wayne's saying, I don't get made up to first class because I make strange noises. Talking of being made up to first class and things like that, I was hoping to do that on my next trip to Australia, right? But it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that now, and I shall tell you on the next show. There you are, some exciting piece of news on the next show, okay? Let's see. Ari, the show on the 5th of September. Someone's texted in there. They don't say who they are. And it says, thanks for setting up the text service. That's okay. Right, when you send in a text, can you put your name and where you are? All right, so that I know, well, so that I know your name and where you are. Otherwise, we don't know. It's all a big secret otherwise, okay? And I think that's all. Is that all? Oh, yes, the other bits and pieces are from... The other bits and pieces are from the mobile phone company. There we are. Thank you very much for that. Now, as I say, if you want to text the show via your mobile phone, the reason we set that up, it was actually Ross Patzelt who suggested this, because he says quite often people are driving around or something like that, or they might be out somewhere, not near a computer, listening to the show on an MP3 player. And they want to contact the show, and by the time they get back, they forgot what they want. So you can now text the message straight to me. If you're in the UK, here's the text number, 07815. Oh, hang on a minute, it's disappeared. Oh, dear. And now we're running out of time. Oh, God, I'm going to have to be really quick now. Right, here we go. 07815 907 896. All right? 07815 907 896. And if you're outside the UK, dial your international access code followed by 44 for the UK, 7815 907 896. So 44 for the UK, 7815 907 896. And that's about it for the show today. As always, thanks for listening and watching. More emails. We'll have another email catch-up show on the next one, I think. For myself, Chris Reardon, thanks for watching.